Guys, this is one big secret of chess, or rather the top solution to most of your chess problems. Once you manage to reach this position or this other position, you should be winning most of your games. I'm going to show you how you can destroy almost every common opening using this combination of pieces as highlighted. Now before I continue, I know you guys do enjoy watching my videos, but let's be real guys, if you find this video to be interesting, simply share this video or simply subscribe if you are new, because that's how you encourage me to do more research and deliver these things to you. Also hit the like button. Trap number 1 in the Caro-Kann defense, Karpov variation. This is where you begin with e4, then black plays c6, the Caro-Kann defense, and then you go d4, then d5, and then you play knight c3, and d takes e4 is the top played move right in this position where you have to take back with your knight. And now it's time to wait and see what black is up to. Looking into the master's database, you can see that bishop f5 is the top played move. We are going to look at that in the second trap. And then we see knight d7 being the second common move in the master's database, which is the main area of our interest in this first trap. So say your opponent's playing knight d7, which is called the Karpov variation by the way. The idea is black wants to play knight gf6, e6, bishop e7 and castle shot given a chance. But that's what we want. In this position, guys, believe it or not, the main theoretical move which most grandmasters play is simply knight g5. Like, what? This is an interesting move with chances to blow black off the board, guys. In case black plays pawn to h6 in this position, try to guess the best move right in this position, which is also supported by Stockfish. Let's go. Right, hope you found the solution. The move, ladies and gentlemen, is knight e6. Like, guys, this is also playable even in real classical tournaments, and I'm not even joking. And I can't believe that f takes e6 is the third common move in the Lichess database, obviously which is played by amateurs, but this leads to a mate in 1. Oh, a mate in 2, like this. This is checkmate. So that's the first funny trap, and I guess most of your advanced opponents won't fall for this. It's cheap, and you know what, at times your opponents will just play something like knight to f6, thinking they are stopping queen h5 but forgetting that you're attacking the queen. So on the next move you'll just grab that free queen, and so your advanced opponents will obviously play something like queen a5 check here, and then this is when you play bishop d2 blocking the check. And also attacking the queen, by the way. The queen has to cover the c7 square, otherwise you're going to play knight c7 check and win the rook on a8. So queen b6 is a logical move here, after which you can continue playing normally with the move bishop d3, setting up another trap. And it's in this position where even masters tend to fall for the same trap that I showed you at first. You can see with your own eyeballs in the master's database, f takes e6 has been played at least once, which is a very terrible blunder due to queen h5 check once again. And if black thinks the king will be able to escape, here you have a very deadly move, you guys. Try to guess the move and leave your answers right in the comment section down below. Let's go. First of all, I'm disappointed if at all you were looking at bishop f4. Why are you like this, guys? The move here is simply bishop a5, pinning the queen to the king, and for the sake of respect, black should resign in this position because your bishop is supported by your queen, right? So black's queen will be dead. Even if knight gf6 comes, you can simply take the queen first, and after AB, you now rescue your queen, or maybe just put it on g6. Game over. You can do more research on this, but just consider playing knight g5 in the Karpov variation and all your problems are over. Let's look at the real stuff. After knight g5, instead of pawn to h6, which allows us to go knight e6, say black plays knight gf6 right in this position, stopping queen h5 in advance and now ready to play pawn to h6. Well, the move that I recommend here is bishop c4, now targeting the f7 square, so that in case of h6 you can simply mate with your bishop just like that. Instead of h6, you're going to see most of your opponents playing pawn to e6, the top played move by the way, after which you can now go queen e2. And lo, is this not the position that I showed you in the introduction of this video, guys? Let's be honest, your queen on e2, your bishop on c4, and your knight on g5. This is how you beat most of your opponents, guys. So there are two popular moves right in this position, and they are both wrong. As you can see in the Lichess database, the top played move is knight b6 followed by bishop e7. Let's begin with the worst. Bishop e7. Once you see this bishop move, I suggest you become polite and escort your opponent to go to the market where his mama sent him to buy stuff. Guys, the move here is simply knight takes f7, sacrificing your knight, also double attacking the queen and the rook. If black takes, that will be a mate in 3 after queen takes, and wherever the king goes, that will be checkmate. If king g6, that will only be a delayed mate after bishop d3 check, and then king h5, then queen h3 checkmate. Bingo. Subscribe. Right. After bishop e7 and knight takes sacrifice, you will see some of your opponents playing queen a5 check, an in-between move, trying to rescue their queen and then maybe rescue their rook on the next move. But you have bishop d2 in this position, attacking the queen. So the queen has to go back, after which you simply grab the free rook on h8. And in some cases, you may even be able to rescue your knight. So say knight f8, that's what they like doing. And now you can simply go bishop b3, that's all. Even if they take your b2 pawn, it doesn't count because you can just go rook d1 in this position. Even if they take your d4 pawn, this is when you can go knight f7 in an effort to rescue your knight. And sadly, they don't even have to capture this because after all, if they capture, you still have queen takes e6 check, and wherever the king goes, that'll be bad for black. So again, if king g6, you simply go queen f7 check, and after king f5 only move, there are so many ways to kill a rat, one of which is going pawn to g4 check. There's no knight takes because that knight is pinned, so they have to take with either the king or the queen, after which you go bishop d3 check, and it's just a matter of time before you checkmate your opponent, guys. There should be a mate in 5 here. So let's move on. Trap number 2, the bishop f5 response. Instead of the Karpov variation, say after c6, d4, d5, knight c3, pawn takes, knight takes, and then instead of knight d7, black plays the top played move, bishop f5. Well, I don't advise people to resign here. The best you can do here is going knight g3, and then they'll play bishop g6, so you can go pawn to h4, trying to trap that bishop somehow. The top played move is h6, creating this room for the bishop, and now you simply go knight to f3 because what else? And this is when you will see most of your opponents developing their king's knight. And guess what? Now you simply go knight e5 once again, getting ready for that piece setup that I showed you at first, guys. They play bishop h7, and now you simply go bishop c4. See how you set up that position, now attacking this. So black usually plays pawn to e6, covering that sham, and now you go queen e2. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the similar setup that I showed you in the introduction of this video. This time, our knight is not on g5, it's on e5, but it still performs the same job, you guys. Because the thing is, if black plays the top played move, as you can see in the Lichess database, knight b d7, you are winning with this move. Knight takes f7, double attacking the queen and the rook once again. If king takes, there's a mate in 2 here, which begins with queen takes e6 check, and after king g6 only move, you simply go queen f5. Bingo. And that was trap number 2. This reminds me of the famous 2 knights attack against the Caro-Kann defense as well, which is trap number 3. So you begin with e4, then your opponent plays c6 because what else? And now instead of going d4, this time you play knight to f3 because they always play d5 after all. Caro-Kann players don't listen. So now you go knight c3 and they will take, playing like a robot as always. So you take back, right? And then this is when we see the same move, bishop f5. So the best you can do here is to attack that bishop with knight g3, forcing them to play bishop g6, and then you start attacking that bishop right away. The top played move you can see is pawn to h6, after which you now go knight e5, intending to set up that same position that we saw earlier. So they play bishop h7. After this, instead of going bishop c4, which is too predictable now. You simply start with queen h5. You want to mate with your queen on f7, which will never happen in a million times. So pawn to g6 is what they play. And then this is when you completely abandon your queen by playing bishop c4. Guys, who am I? The thing is, if black takes, you're going to mate on f7. So this is when you're going to see your opponents playing pawn to e6, covering their nakedness. And now you finally go queen e2. Look at this piece setup once again. Things are about to get messy. Instead of knight d7 this time, if black plays the top played move knight to f6, just know that the game is almost over because of knight takes f7. Once again, double attacking the queen and the rook. So black should better be careful. If king takes, once again, this will be a mate in 2 after queen takes, e6 check, king g7 only move, you mate your opponent like this. Bingo. Anyway, and here it is even difficult for black to stop this attack. Sometimes you will see them playing bishop g7 instead of knight to f6 like this. Again, you can just sacrifice your knight. It doesn't even matter. After king takes, this will be a mate in 2 once again like this. So nothing will change. Lastly, black may attempt to play after you play queen e2, right? Instead of bishop g7 or knight to f6, they might play queen e7. But after this, you can just go pawn to d4, now playing normal chess, realizing that there are no more funny traps here. So you need to go back to your normal state. It's not just about traps and tricks. So after knight d7 in this position, the best I advise to do is to go knight e4. Oh, I like this move, you guys. I'm just waiting for my opponent to castle long, which is somewhat of a blunder. For example, after castle long, now I can go bishop f4, developing my pieces. And in case of bishop g7, which is the top played move, now I have what I was looking for. Knight takes c6, sacrifice. Knowing that if bc happens, guess what? Bishop a6 will be checkmate. Bingo. Anyway, if you want to know more about that 2 knights defense attack, you can watch the video that has popped up in the card above. And also remember to subscribe and share this video. Let's move on. Trap number 4. Now this happened in my yesterday's game against a 2287 rated opponent, and this was a bullet match. Spoiler, this game ended in exactly 10 moves. And I started with knight to f3, my opponent responded with d6. I played e4, and after knight to f6, I played e5. Yep, going for the same idea, I still want to form my setup, my usual setup, which I'm familiar with. And here my opponent just took. Because what else? And then I took back. And then he played pawn to g6, showing me that he is a typical pure defense player. After which I played bishop c4, ready to capture on f7 in case bishop g7 happens. My opponent, being a 2287 rated player, simply saw this threat and played e6. And then I played queen e2, the same piece setup that I just showed you guys in the intro. And now I'm still waiting for this to happen, which my opponent played, by the way. At this point, I couldn't sacrifice on f7 because the e6 pawn is still defended by black's light squared bishop, so I have to wait and play something else. So I played h4 to create an impression as if I want to start attacking very early. So my opponent avoided to castle short first, which is why he played knight b d7, trying to get rid of this annoying knight first. But guess what? Knight takes f7 again is the move I played, double attacking 2 things, and then surprisingly my opponent took the knight, after which I took back on e6, and after king f8, I simply played queen g8 checkmate. Oh no, queen f7 checkmate. Bingo. But that wasn't the prayer though. The same thing may happen against the modern defense. After e4, g6, then you go d4, bishop g7, and then knight to f3, d6, bishop c4, with the same idea, right? The thing with modern players is that they try to delay knight to f6 as long as they can, just to leave this diagonal open for their g bishop. And that's what I like. So to delay knight to f6, they play moves like e6, knight d7, knight c6. For example, knight d7 is even bad in this position. You don't have to go queen e2. You have bishop takes f7, which is check. And after king takes, you simply go knight g5 check. And if king f8, you have knight e6 check and win the queen. If king e8, you simply have knight e6 and win the queen or take that bishop. So there are all these traps that black needs to be aware of if you try to create that piece setup which I showed you. Trap number 5 in the two knights attack against the Caro-Kann. Once again, after pawn to e4, c6, knight f3, d5 again, knight c3, pawn takes, knight takes, and knight d7. First of all, this is different from the Karpov variation, but it's also playable, by the way, with the same ideas. How is this different from the Karpov variation? Remember, in the Karpov variation, we always have a pawn on d4. Our king's knight sits on g1, so that's the only difference. So instead of the knight sitting on f3, in the Karpov variation, our pawn sits on d4 by this time. So that's the major difference, you guys. And certain Caro-Kann players tend to confuse these two variations. But anyways, even after this, you can simply go bishop c4, trying to create the same position which I showed you. For example, after they play the top played move knight gf6, instead of taking or playing knight g3 like what everybody does, you can still go knight eg5, attacking the f7 pawn. So they have to play e6, after which you go queen e2. Once again, welcome back to the same position, the same piece setup that I showed you at the intro. And what do we see again? I said sometimes you will see your opponents playing knight b6. I'm gonna show you. But if bishop e7 is played anyways, once again, you can simply go knight takes f7, attacking two things, and maybe you're going to have that mate in 4 which I showed you. Say after king g6, you go queen f7 check. By the way, if king h6, you have d4. If king f5 is played, you have bishop e6 check, and after king e4, you simply mate with your pawn. Anyway, this time in case black doesn't play bishop e7, but instead knight b6, which I say they may also play, well, you can simply go knight e5. Again, you can see the same piece set up. Even if they take your light squared bishop, it doesn't matter because you can take back with your queen, and they like exchanging queens here. It's fine because you're going to walk away with an extra pawn, if not an extra piece. If rook g8, you simply go pawn to d4. First of all, your knight on f7 is not dead and it won't die anytime soon. Even if they play h6, you can just go rook g1 with ideas of going g4 and g5, and even g6 to solidify your knight on f7. That happens. In part 2 of this video, I'm gonna show you how you can try to use this similar piece combination to destroy the rest of the openings. So if you want to see more, simply subscribe to this channel, share this video, and also hit the like button. Follow me on Patreon, where you can join free membership to my academy, and check out my E5 defense course that we are still building with my team, which is currently free, by the way, on my Patreon page, or you can find the link in the comment section. And that's how you support our channel, believe it or not. So thank you so much for watching this video. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye bye.